Ben, good news about you and your career with Hendon. Tell me all about it.
Going into obviously next season, we've kind of sat down with the club, with Cyrus, John, yourself, obviously gone over the plans and what the club's looking like for the future, and obviously delighted to say that I can pin myself down for 2 years, with the contract that's the club have kind of trusted in me to come and sign. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Next 2 years seem to be bright, and hopefully we can bring the good times back.
Was that a tough decision to make? Because when you came in, it didn't kind of really work out the way anybody would have wanted.
No, I wouldn't say it was a tough decision. I think obviously people would have looked at the decision being tough when we first got approached. But I've always said, we've wanted to come and work here, and I think it's given me even more of a reason to stay. Being part of one of the worst seasons for the club last year, I think it's given me a bit more of a reason to stay, to try and get them back where they're meant to be. So that will be the aim for as long as I am here.
And Keegan will be with you as well?
Yeah, Keegan, obviously, management team, always includes Keegan. I don't think, there's a lot of people that know we're pretty much joint at the hip when it comes to football, and outside life. But yeah, I can't. I wouldn't say I can't function in my role without Keegs there. So yeah, he's a big part of what I do, and what every club that I've been at has done. Ryan, obviously, Sophie, Josh, Corey, and then we're hoping to add another member of coaching staff as well.
So we're kind of sorted off the pitch, and I think you've got some good news for Hendon supporters on the pitch too.
Yeah, well, like they would have seen in the announcements, we've been able to keep Nico Muir within our squad, which for me was kind of a no-brainer. I think he's such an important part of not just any manager that's at Hendon's team. I just think at the club as a whole. I think fans and board members, staff behind the bar. I think when he walks in on a Thursday night or a Tuesday, Saturday, I think everyone can, always say that he puts a bit of smile on people's faces. I think he's got a good, character, and he's someone that's part of the furniture nowadays, especially. So, I'm sure he'll be putting a few more Lucozades and Twixes on Cyrus's bar bill without him knowing. But yeah, we look forward to continuing to work with him.
So the season's still 6-7 weeks away. What does the manager do in this sort of time, other than threat and panic?
Charge his phone all day. You have to. There's a lot to do. I think not just players, recruitment. You've got a pre-season to organise, which I have to thank Jeremy for his assistance with that. You've got to make contact with all sorts of teams, managers, to get your pre-season list. Make sure it's as competitive as possible, but also realistic and local in terms of if you've got a side and you're rebuilding a side, and your team's built up with a lot of trialists. You want to make sure you're not travelling too far. You want to go and play some managers you've built connections with and friendships. I think it's difficult to arrange, especially when you're talking grass pitches, because as if you've seen, I'm pretty local to Finchley, so I've been driving past Wingate's ground recently, and they haven't even got a pitch at the moment because it's all mud. So when you're contacting grass pitch teams, they ain't going to play you. So it takes a lot. I think people think that you arrange a pre-season, it's hi, do you want to play us? Yeah, no problem, in the diary. It takes a bit of planning and prep, which for me it had to start literally 2 months before this season ended. You have to get your games locked in early, and then you have to find the right opposition. Obviously, fans will like to see us go and play the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, but we have to be kind of considerate of what level we're at, and also considerate of what type of team we're trying to build, and not make it too unrealistic in terms of the games. So that's a big job, and I appreciate Jeremy's help in terms of the players. On the phone, recruiting the best that you can. Like I said, I think I said this in an interview not long ago after a game. After that final whistle against Bognor, everyone's a free agent. Because there's not many contracts flying around at this level, so everyone's a free agent. It's a free for all. Managers start calling round. Teams will start announcing signings and retained lists and everything. The forms aren't even out until July, I don't think so. But I would say I think there's probably every manager will agree. This period before between now and when this training and the games start is the worst. It's, there's no loyalty in football, as we know. So you just, you agree with a player, they might be gone next week. So it's a challenging time. But as long as you just keep at it, and hopefully you can prize forward the type of signings that you want to get through the door.
So the type of signings you want to get through the door, can we just nail on the head? Is Luka Modric top of your...
No, he's not good enough for me.
He's not.
No, I mean, listen, if we can get Cyrus to get his wallet out, then we'll try and do our best to get him through the door. But probably Nico Mill's taken up all of that. So, yeah, we'll have to pass on Luka Modric.
So, obviously, relegation wasn't something that anybody wanted. We're now at step 4, and we're now in the Isthmian South Central. It's a league that you've managed in twice before.
Yeah.
Happy to be in that one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's some, like I was chatting to you, just off camera, there's some really good clubs that you'll be going to visit with us now. I know some of the fans will be going to some new grounds. It's, I think it's more competitive than some people will think. There's some big old teams in there, experienced players, experienced managers. I'm looking forward to, seeing some familiar faces. But it's a league that we've always been in as a management team. We were lucky enough to, reach the playoffs with Northwood when we was there. We've competed in that league with Harrow as well, which we're in a similar situation in terms of coming down from the level above. It'll be good. It would be a very, very, reluctant league. It's not reluctant. I've said the wrong word there. It's a league that will test you. It's a league that will, there'll be 6 to 8 teams competing for, 4 or 5 places at the top. Pretty similar to probably my interview with Harrow last year, where I said, you're going to have a group of 6 teams that can all fancy themselves of winning the division, and then go down to the middle ends of the table. You've got teams that will be, fighting for that last playoff place. So yeah, it's going to be a tough league. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And you were saying, even though it's a different level and a lower level, some of the wages at step 4 are way beyond us still.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way football's going. I think the more, you go up to your step 1 division, you go down to step 6s. I think it's just every league seems to every year get a bit more, filled with a bit more cash. Players demanding a little bit more. And I think, sometimes it's rightly so, because you only have to look at some of the travelling that some of these teams have to do. Even though a lot of the leagues are meant to be kind of, geographically sorted, you can still ask some of these players to travel a long distance. So I think that does have an effect. Obviously, you're talking to some of these boys are, 19, 20 years old, they've got to kind of consider where they're travelling and what it's going to cost them. I think every year it just seems to get more crazy. But that's just the way football's going. It's getting a lot more professional. The quality's going up. So players are going to demand a bit more, I suppose.
What can Hendon supporters expect playing-wise and facility-wise as we go to some new and unheard of teams in some cases?
There's, I said there's a lot that will be similar to us. Obviously, we're in a fortunate position because we've got, one of the best AstroTurf pitches in and around the area, if not in the league. You've got, a good fan base that follow us, not just at home, but also away. We've got a nice modern bar, good changing facilities. You will go to some places that have got a bit more of an old-fashioned feel. Sometimes they're the toughest places to go. But what I would say is, there's a lot of good people at a lot of these grounds, especially that you go and visit, and you always, made to feel very welcome. So I think you can expect a little slight drop in terms of attendances. That's just a given. You're competing at step 3 and above. You're competing against some top clubs with big fan bases. But what won't be missing is the loyalty of the fan bases. They're always there to support their team, whether there's 20 of them or 300 of them. So yeah, that will stay the same. I think that the pitches are the pitches. I think grass pitches nowadays, unless you've got a big backing of some money behind you, they're always going to be cost. Your cost is always going to be high to try and keep them maintained. So yeah, I think the only difference will be a few attendances, maybe less seats in a few of the stands that you go and find, and a few more railings that you have to lean on instead of sitting down. That's what I would say.
But good news, you signed a contract, Nico signed a contract, new players coming in, new league to look forward to, a nice relaxing summer before it all starts again.
I wouldn't say that. It's one that just keeps going. It's not an easy period, but we are trying hard and we are working hard, and hopefully, I know fans want to see loads of announcements, loads of info, loads of news. What I can tell them is it is all going on in the background. So hopefully they can see that the club are doing little bits in the background that sometimes aren't immediately able to be shared. So yeah, we're trying hard, and come the first pre-season game, hopefully we've got a team that you can be proud of.